Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Good evening.
Let's get it started in here. Welcome home. You're listening to the best non-professional advice show on the planet, on your home for overnight low-back session. This is the Stock, Jock, and Roll Show on daytradingradio.com.
Yeah.
Money never sleeps, pal.
Trading stocks, futures, options on futures, and retail off-exchange foreign currency transactions involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your circumstances, knowledge, and financial resources. You may lose all or more of your initial investment. Opinions, market data, and recommendations are subject to change at any time.
Interesting.
But when I tried to, yeah, and Josh was on and he couldn't hear you either. Well, like on a Hangout.
Hey, Josh.
There he is.
Hey, there you go.
That was really strange. I don't know what the problem was.
Gremlins.
I was live on the air. People could hear me, but there was obviously some hang up on my side that when I rebooted, it fixed it all.
Huh.
Well, when Jeff came on, I couldn't hear Jeff. I could see Jeff, and I thought, well, it's probably on his end because everything was working fine for me. But then, Josh, when you came on and I couldn't hear you and you couldn't hear me, then that quickly made me think it was something on my side.
Right.
And so when all else fails, a reboot.
Reboot.
That's always the
Yeah, I wound up just being
the first.
being Roxanne.
Yeah, I sent told Darrin I was rebooting. I've sent them a invite. I'll send it to him again. There's Darrin.
There he is.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, Darrin?
Nothing, trying to...
I think I sent you a second invite, Darrin.
Yeah,
So it's probably calling you again.
yeah, I have Google Hangout on all my devices, so that stuff going off everywhere.
Mine does that too. My phone, I get it on my phone also.
Yeah, I get it on my phone, my MacBook, my iPad.
That's all right. Charlie just wants to get you on 3 times.
Well,
Yeah.
we had a little problem there, Darrin. For some reason, when Jeff came on, I couldn't hear him, and then Josh came on, I couldn't hear him. So I had to reboot, and that cleared things up. So I don't know what the problem was, but it seems to be solved. I was on the air blaming Jeff for acting like a Malaysian airliner and disappearing.
Oh, man. I tell you what, I haven't even talked about it on Twitter because I still can't wrap my mind around how an aircraft that large just disappears. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I remember like when it happened, like the next evening or something, I was, tweeting about this is just so resemblance of like the show Lost. And then some people tweeted back to me, they were kind of mad that I actually said that because they're like, don't you have any respect? And I said, well, find the plane first, to figure out what's going on. But weird. I mean, we're at the Lost 10-year anniversary right now that they're celebrating too. And here we have a plane that can't be found.
Yeah, no.
And
There's a lot of craziness around that story that I thought I actually was talking to Roxanne offline a few days ago about this whole deal, and there's a lot of strangeness about it. And at first I thought that it was like the Air France plane that went down coming out of Brazil, and the pitot tubes froze, and then there was a combination of environmental conditions, pilot error, that thing wound up in the drink. This is a far different story than that, based on news that I've heard.
We think it's a far different story. It could be as simple as it crashed and no one can't find it. But
it could be, but we've got the highest technologically advanced. What is the plane? The United States sent over the anti-sub, anti-warship, whatever that plane is that searches for that stuff. And there's no traces of it. There's 25 countries over there looking for this thing.
It's nuts.
How can you not find it?
That's my whole question, is like, how can you not find, like, okay, because like that was my thing, like maybe it crashed, but like wouldn't a crash like leave some sort of trail?
Right.
I mean,
that's the thing. There should have been a debris trail in the ocean somewhere, or on land, or something. They can't find any trace of it. I was watching the news yesterday morning, and they showed the flight path that they took, though, and they started to take off and went out east out of Kuala Lumpur, and they turned it around, and then they zigzagged. One of the theories is that they think that I don't know if they think that the co-pilot and the pilot were in cahoots with this, and that's another thing in and of itself, whenever they say that they didn't choose to fly together, because I would dispute that is a non-possibility. But they came back around and they zigzagged, and they came through a heavily trafficked corridor, air traffic corridor, and part of the speculation is that they were trying to hit another plane midair because of the way that they were flying. And based on all the other thing is, they turned the transponder and the transmitter off, and the plane was still flying for an hour and a half. So if you got somebody on a suicide mission, why aren't you just putting that thing in the drink, or putting it on the ground somewhere and hitting something?
Exactly.
Why are you flying for an hour and a half after you turn the transponder and all the transmitters off?
But didn't they say it could have flown up to 7 hours later?
Right.
Well, it could have. There's like 600 different airports that they show that it could have landed at, because you need 5,000 feet of runway to land a 777.
So how could they have kept even all these passengers from not getting anything, any blip of communication out either?
Well, that's the other question.
That's just, if it flown for 7 hours and it came back over Malaysia, and how do they completely control everything? Is what's just, I mean, it's like the perfect disappearance.
But they went up to 45,000 feet too, and one of the speculations is that they did that and it induced hypoxia in the passengers, and they knocked the entire cabin out.
Yeah, but then they talked about it coming back down and flying low altitude to avoid some radars, and even possibly following behind some aircraft closely to try to stay off radars.
Right.
It's just
nuts.
I
see Roxanne there too.
Hey, Roxanne.
Roxanne, you're out there.
Hi.
I know she's followed this story.
Yes, I have been following it, but my opinion is that I think the plane crashed at sea. I hear what you're saying about the inducing the passengers to fall asleep, but that's not going to take forever.
No, right.
And I find hard to believe that these people are just going to kill 200 plus passengers. I'm more inclined to believe that the pilot had something to do with it, based on what I have been reading.
Right.
And I do agree with you. I think it's just in the ocean somewhere, and it seems like the longer it goes on, they don't find it. The odds continue to go up that it's somewhere in the ocean.
Exactly. Somewhere in the Indian, I think was it between Indonesia and the southern Indian Ocean? I think.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the Indian Ocean is massive. I mean, the Indian Ocean is bigger than the continent of the United States. So trying to find a plane in the Indian Ocean Pretty hard.
Like a needle in the haystack. Yeah, and it's been what, like 6, 7 days? I think they have perished. I don't think any of them are alive. And think about it, for the last 7 days, not a single one of the passengers tried contacting family, friends. They didn't log into Facebook nor Twitter. That is strange.
But
Well, if they did land it, and I think that this is what I find interesting that I was watching. And what's funny is I never watch Fox. In fact, I rarely watch Fox, CNN, and MSNBC. But I was watching Fox on Sunday morning, and one thing that was pointed out there, they actually had some good folks on there. There was one guy that was from the Secret Service that was on there and talking about it. But the one thing that they pointed out was, we never thought before 9/11 that it was very plausible to have planes flown into buildings.
Right.
And then it happened, right?
Right.
And as goofy as it seems, and it seems goofy to me too, that you would somehow pull off a plot that you would take a plane and land it somewhere with a plane load full of passengers, and that wouldn't be able to be detected, seems crazy. But I guess we've seen crazy that we didn't think was going to happen, right? And so,
and Jeff, if we got news of all of a sudden that they saw the plane and it was back flying again because it took off from somewhere, I don't think any of us would be totally shocked at this point either.
Right.
That's what's
right.
crazy.
And that was part of the speculation, that they were going to land it somewhere, dump the passengers, and I don't know if they were going to put them in a compound or whatever, but some of the speculation was they were going to land it, fill it with explosives, and use it for a terror. Now that seems a little far-fetched.
Wasn't there some news about that there were some gold bars, a lot of gold on that cargo hold as well? Like, it could have even been valuable cargo.
I didn't see that, but
I was going to say that's an interesting angle, Charlie, because that may explain the motive. Because, see, my burning question, it's not so much who did it, but why.
Right.
What is the motive behind it? And now that you mentioned that, hey, it could be a possibility.
Well, and there was another theory that it was going to be, they were going to use it to try and free, I don't know if you'd call them prisoners, but they're apparently the captain was had a somewhat of an incendiary political belief or attitude or whatever, and so they thought that may have played a part. I don't know. India backed out of helping with the search because they said that the Malaysian government is holding back information, and they're not going to help them anymore until they become more forthcoming.
Yeah, that's very strange. But I also find strange that based on the latest that I was reading, they mentioned that the last communication between I think it was the co-pilot and the air traffic controllers was at 1:19 a.m. Then 2 minutes later, exactly 2 minutes later, the transponder is turned off.
Right, and it was right when they were right outside of Vietnam airspace where they would have been picked up by Vietnam ATC, and that's where they turned the transponder off and turned the plane around.
That's why I'm a little bit more inclined to believe what some of the law enforcement personnel were claiming, that the pilots are involved in this thing, But I think it's a little bit far-fetched to think they were able to conceal a Boeing 777. I mean, that's a pretty big plane.
Yeah, you don't really hide. I mean, you don't get out, throw a blanket on top of it, and pretend like nobody can see that.
I don't even think David Copperfield can make that one vanish. No.
Bry Guy posted a link in the room also from Reuters article.
Oh, so yeah, I think suicide is definitely a possibility, because that is something that has happened in the past.
Right. Where was where was the plane that went? Wasn't that a Somalian plane or who? What was it? Where the co-pilot was at the controls and ditched it in the ocean? It was an African airliner from, I can't remember which country it was from.
Yeah, but I
But he
don't
knows it
recall.
down.
But that's happened. I mean, several times where a
Yeah.
pilot will just suicide. Typically, though, they don't do it with passengers on board. It will be, you know, like a single engine pilot or something who's
Like
know,
Bob Richards.
yeah, yeah. Speaking of that, yeah, there was another one, Bob Richards, the weather guy. You know,
You guys might not know who he was. He was a weatherman at a St. Louis news station and took his single engine. It was a Cessna or something out and took it up and nosed it down straight into the ground. You know, suicide. But no, you're right, Charlie. Normally you don't see a lot of that out of.
Yeah, but and here's the other thing, you know, if the pilots were involved, we understand they're behind closed doors in the cockpit, but don't you think that if there's no weapons whatsoever, and even if the pilots threaten the passengers saying, well, we will blow up the plane if you try to break in or what have you, I am more inclined to believe that 200 plus passengers will unite, get together, and do whatever it takes to break into where the pilots are at and try to land the plane to safety with the help of the air traffic controllers, you know?
Right, right.
There's power in numbers. There's power in numbers. So again, the one thing that baffles me is 200 and plus passengers and nobody has a clue what happened, where it's at. Again, I think it crashed.
It's great, like thinking that, like, you know, when there's like a situation to where there's potential, you know, tragedy or a terroristic, you know, act, the whole you know, everyone unite and overcome this, or someone step in and be the hero. It's easy to think that on the outside, but you know, when you're like on a plane and you have people telling you, we're either going to take this plane over or I have a bomb on me that I'm going to detonate, it puts you back in your place really quick.
Yeah.
You know, that adrenaline rush that you're on where you're like, I'm going to save the day, you come off of that real quick.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
look what happened in Flight 93.
Right,
Look what
yeah.
passengers did. They got together and managed to get inside the cockpit, unfortunately, a little bit too late because the plane crashed.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, is that even though that act of bravery, like, you know, the results were still the same, sadly. Now, I would be the type of person...
We have breaking news. Breaking news. It's been located. Kissing Bandit in the chat room sent that to us. You know, I'm surprised we haven't seen it on the side of a milk carton either.
Where's you got any pictures of what's her name? Where's she at?
Oh, Ginger? How about
Ginger at?
Ginger smoking, boy.
Oh.
How great would that be to find out that Bob Denver landed the plane somewhere, happened to be on board, but I don't think he's alive anymore, right?
No, I think he died.
He's in the Rocky Mount. He's been in the Rocky Mountains all this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
him and Alan Hale.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just quickly, I'm just curious about the consensus here. Does the majority of you believe that the plane crashed, or do you believe that they landed somewhere and they have the passengers, what is it, as prisoners or whatever?
Hostages.
Hostages. Yeah, there we go.
I think it's in the middle. I think it's in the ocean.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too. There is some news that just came out. It said that the U.S. Navy ship that was helping the search for the missing Malaysian airline is dropping out of the hunt. The Navy's 7th Fleet, the long-range Navy P-3 and P-8 surveillance aircraft do remain involved in the search. So, but apparently the Navy's given up.
Well, and I saw something yesterday morning too, where it said that the U.S. government believe that the pilots were involved in whatever happened. Now, whether they put it in the drink or whatever happened to it, that there was pilot involvement. And the captain had some big sophisticated flight simulator in his house too. And they haven't released information on what they found out there as far as whether there were, you know, he was practicing some sort of route.
But
I don't know. There's a lot of weird.
That doesn't seem odd at all, though, Jeff. To me, a pilot to have a flight simulator in their house, that doesn't seem odd at all. But if they, you know, if they found notes or, you know, anything related to what they were going to attempt to do, that would be the key. But just having a simulator, I don't think is anything out of the ordinary for a pilot.
No, I think what they were doing is investigating, because they can go in there like they can do with any of our computers and figure out what he had been flying or what he'd been practicing. And if there's something that resembles the flight pattern of the airplane, then maybe that's a tip-off of his intent. But, I mean, I would agree, Charlie. Just as a pilot, to have a flight simulator in your house is probably not a big deal. But the bigger deal is what they may have found on it, and none of that's been released yet. So I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah, I would be curious about that too, although I agree, it's not an issue to, you know, raise eyebrows. I mean, after all, he's a pilot. But when they were interviewing the neighbors that live next to, I think he was a co-pilot, pretty much everybody was saying that he's a good guy, has not been involved in any shady business. So, I mean, so far there's no finger pointing at these two individuals. But I will say this much. If indeed they are responsible for this, they're very foolish, because they just threw away a career, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a question in our chat room. Do you think there's any possibility that it landed on the water without breaking up at all in the ocean and just sunk?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think so. Like, and that's the other thing. And this may be a stupid question, but you have to wonder: does a plane that big go straight to the bottom? That's what I would wonder. Like, would it go straight? Would it sink straight to the bottom of the Indian Ocean, or would parts of it float? You know,
well,
and
it would float.
If you recall,
remember that flight.
Who was the Sullenberger or Sully, they called him, the pilot that landed it in the river in New York there?
But there's a big difference between trying to save the plane like he was, and if you're trying to just completely, if you're on a suicide mission, there's two different things.
Right.
I mean, that's two different things.
Even then, what's your motive though? What's your motive to, like, it just does no physical damage. It doesn't scare anybody. Like, just random, you know, retail travelers. Like, there's got to be more to it. There has to be more of an incentive there.
Well,
like, just.
But here's where my theory blows out for that. If it did land, and it landed on the water, water landing that kept it from really breaking up, there would have been time for somebody to get out of one emergency exit. There's plenty of emergency exits, unless they somehow were able to keep everybody in, which would have to be that there were multiple people involved. That's what's weird. So if it did land a water and it didn't break up, there would be life preservers, people out, some, you know, there'd be still some evidence, it seems like.
Well, plus there'd be a big enough portion of the aircraft and the fuselage left that somebody would have seen it by now. Although if you go look on Reddit, I saw something about some of the folks on Reddit that were looking at satellite images that think that they found it, which that would be amazing to me, given the technology that's out there and the number of countries that are out there looking for it. If somebody on Reddit found a plane because they were looking at online satellite images and nobody else could find that, I'm not really sure whether to be amazed or dismayed about that.
But wasn't that how they found the people in the Boston race, was from all those images that they put out there?
Yeah, it was.
That was something similar, where they put all those images out there and somebody picked out something.
Maybe maybe what happened to the plane is something similar to what happened in Airport 77. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie, but it involves a similar incident. An airplane crashes into the sea. Luckily for them, of course, it does have a happy ending. The U.S. Navy manages to save them. But I think the plane it was intact, but I don't think it sunk all the way to the bottom. I'm not sure how long it will take for an aircraft of this magnitude to sink all the way to the bottom.
Right.
But assuming it happened at night, that's another thing. I believe this happened at night. So
Oh, yeah, it was at night. It was.
But
It took off midnight in Malaysia's time.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was like 1:30, and I thought it was supposed to get to, where were they going?
Beijing, I think.
Beijing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I don't think it would. There would be something floating too, because look at the Air France flight. There was debris floating. They had a laboratory that they found floating.
Right.
There's got to be. You can't have 25 countries looking for a plane, even as big as the Indian Ocean is, and nobody sees anything and can't find a single piece of that thing. There's something weird about that.
But even, let's say the plane was intact, there wouldn't be any debris, right?
But they should be able to identify the plane. If you've got a structure an aircraft that big, if it was intact,
yeah,
I would think.
You're talking about a huge radius, though. I mean, you're talking about the Indian Ocean is huge.
Exactly, and no communications work underwater. See, so it's almost impossible to be able to detect that, even if you're flying all over the Indian Ocean, is very difficult.
Well,
My question was, why are they reporting that they knew that the plane was flying for an hour and a half after they turned transponders and transmitters off? I'm trying to figure out, was that satellite technology? And I don't even know that necessarily the credibility of that information, just what I heard on the news yesterday morning. But how do you know that a plane was flying for an hour and a half after they turned everything off?
Right.
So
I don't really believe, to be honest with you, it didn't seem right to me that the transponder was really the only one. There was only one way to track the aircraft. Like, you would think that they would have backup in this day and age of digital. Like, they would have some sort of tracking to track a plane that large outside of the transponder. And that was the thing that was weird to me. It was like, well, people's cell phones on the plane, like, there's no GPS way to locate that plane.
Right. Some knucklehead that didn't turn their phone off like they were supposed to had to have their phone on with GPS on it.
Well, there was one more thing though that was left on that didn't get turned off. This is how they supposedly have tracked it, where it potentially went, and this was the service that Boeing provides on their aircraft that you actually have to pay for as a provider. It's almost like the GM, where you call the satellite, I like my keys in my car.
OnStar.
Like, it's sort of like the OnStar. It's a thing for the satellite that apparently Boeing supplies, that it goes off. It actually, goes into Boeing servers, and then they can supply it back to the company, of course, at a fee, which would give them information on their aircraft, probably for things like fuel and stuff like that. And that's how they supposedly did this other tracking. The Boeing part wasn't turned off, and it was the pings that came from that every so often that they were able to get a few days later from Boeing. Boeing was actually able to get that information.
Wow.
And then I think there was something from
like
the military.
If
military
you get
radar.
a flat tire and you have OnStar and you get stuck on the side of the road, the pilot can do that with the airplane?
Apparently so.
Until I've got a landing light out up here. Can you help me out?
But I mean, that's my rudimentary way of saying it was kind of like an OnStar, product. But it was that third product that never got turned off that was still putting some communications out there.
You know what we'll find out? We'll find out that they tracked it through Siri. Pilot didn't turn off his iPhone.
Funny. Well,
Yeah, I think I was reading somewhere that some scientist was questioning why the jetliner flew. I think it was over two Malaysian Air Force radar stations. Apparently, they were trying to scramble signals or something. Did any of you read about that?
no.
I didn't see that. So what? How were they gonna? What were they trying to? How are they trying to? Like, what were they gonna do to scramble the signals?
Are
Just
they going
interference?
that? I'm guessing that's what it was. Yeah.
I hadn't seen that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out ultimately what happens. At least with the Air France flight, you kind of had an idea what happened to it. I mean, you knew it went down, and you knew they were flying through bad weather.
And I already said this, but you know the pings that are emitted from the black box supposedly only works for 7 days, so they're past that now, and they're gonna have a hard time even if they do finding those pings.
How did they end up finding the one from the Air France flight?
I think it's a submarine, like a a very small little submarine that hovered on the bottom of the ocean. Is how that one was found.
That's like finding a needle.
At least
in a
there they
haystack.
knew where it was at. But yeah,
we don't have a team of
dolphins.
dolphins.
Says it's an ROV submarine.
We don't have a team. We don't have a team of dolphins somewhere that have been trained that we can send down there. Start looking around.
Well, Putin can do everything right these days. So why haven't they found it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel for the family of all these people because the uncertainty has to be killing them. You know, so many of them hoping and praying that they're still alive, but I think the chances are very, very remote. And if it crashed at sea, like the majority of us believe it did, they're probably dead.
So what was it? As close as I've followed it, I haven't followed it closely enough to know this. What were the weather conditions? Because the 777 has an absolutely impeccable safety record. So my question, if it came to a mechanical failure, would be what went wrong? And if that's the case, also, why did the transponders go off? And the transmitters and everything like that?
Well, I think it was a deliberate. I think it was a deliberate action because if there had been some kind of malfunction, the pilots would have immediately alerted
Right.
traffic control. There's several ways to do that. If something breaks down on the plane, the pilots have been trained to proceed to Plan B, Plan C. So
Right.
I'm more inclined to believe that pilots deliberately sabotage the plane. For what reason? That I don't know.
Now you got me off looking at Sirius satellite on the charts. There's a triple bottom potential in play. This is how we find stocks on our show.
That's right. A Malaysian airliner goes missing, and we all get rich off of it.
Yeah. Hey, Roxanne, did you have a little wake up call out there in LA today?
Actually, it didn't affect my area. Luckily, I know it was a 4.4 magnitude earthquake, but it affected mostly the Angelinos on West LA. So primarily Hollywood, West Hollywood, Culver City, downtown LA. But I live in Norwalk, so I'm more towards the central LA. So I didn't feel a thing this morning.
Oh,
I had no idea until I logged on and I read it online.
Wow, thank God. That's a good thing.
No kidding. So Las Vegas and Arizona don't have a shoreline yet, right?
Uh,
That's a good thing.
I guess not.
The joke is always that California is going to fall into the ocean, which
Yes,
is the goofiest thing I ever heard. But
Oh, the ES is
they
getting a little
have
popular.
been saying that forever and ever, and I think eventually we may hit a serious earthquake, but not a major one, not to the epic proportions that some seismologists and I don't know the media has been referring to.
we got that in Missouri here. When was that, Charlie?
What the
Way back when Ivan Browning predicted
New Madrid fault or something?
yeah.
That was
And
back in the 90s.
we were going to have a catastrophic, apocalyptic earthquake, and everybody went out and bought earthquake insurance and
water for 6 months.
Yeah, and it was kind of like the Mayan prediction of the end of the world. And the sun rose the next day and nothing happened.
Yes, indeed.
So what else is going on, guys? What else is kind of out there to talk about? What do you think about what's going on with Russia and Crimea? Or anything there of interest, or is it now gone on like this Malaysia airline is just getting old at this point?
Yeah, I think the whole Ukraine thing. I mean, I think it's getting old. I'll tell you what's interesting to me is the market right here. I mean, you have to wonder, now that that's out of the way, are we just going to push back up to 1900? I mean, this is truly a resilient bull market. And as much as you want to fight it, it looks like this dip was bought once again. I mean, it's hard to fathom it. It's unbelievable. But like I was just looking at an article the other day that we hit a record for new millionaires. There's like a record number of new millionaires in the United States now. It's something 9.63 million people are now millionaires in America.
It's not even cool to be a millionaire now. If you're not a billionaire, you're not in the club.
Well, and that's excluding houses. So like that's almost all. It just goes to show you like unintended consequences. Like that's all QE.
Yeah.
That's all people who've been long the market for 5 years.
And they hit the rider and just kept going with it.
Yeah, they just kept going.
Yeah, because I was watching the ES last night, and I saw the gap down. When was the gap down? Friday, I think it gapped down Friday, and then it consolidated last night.
Right. It rolled over. It made like a high on Thursday, rolled over, and then gapped down on Friday morning.
Yeah.
And then it pushed. So was today just a bounce? Because the Bulls still have a little bit of work to do if they want to, get this market, back to new highs.
Yeah, but I guess it's a matter of really what are the Bears going to do? Because I mean, you look, we've stopped at anywhere between that 1835 to 1820. We've stopped there so many times. It's ridiculous. Like every time, like if we get below the 1820s on the ES, I'm talking, then maybe we have a chance on the downside. But these levels are being defended so vigorously by the Bulls, man. It's hard to fade it.
The Stock Traders Almanac actually had the answer today.
Oh, really?
Yep, it said to be long because of the bullish cluster. It's March sweet spot, St. Patty's Day.
So here's my question. And we've seen this continue to go up, but are we going to get a reversal? I mean, is this like a bubble market, and we're going to see a downtrend here that's going to?
There's no indication of that ever happening anytime soon, but
I mean, eventually, that's going to happen. It's going to happen, but timing it proves to be fatal.
Right. Trade
And
what
not,
you.
not only that, I mean, you can look for indicators. Like one of the things I love to do, and it's something that's been ingrained in me, is I pay very close attention to the ranges, so the ATRs. And typically, when you get topping action, those ATRs tend to increase. So you tend to have a rising, let's say, 14-period ATR, and that sort of coincides with topping action because you start to get wide intraday ranges, and things start to become more volatile. And so that's why I started thinking, well, maybe we are topping, then we got a little bit of a pullback. But the problem is you're getting these multi-standard deviation moves up. And it's like, wow, well, these rallies are really fierce. And like Josh just said, I don't want to be caught short one of these fierce rallies and get jammed for 60, 70 points.
Right. Right.
Because it's painful, man. I had that happen to me, and I vowed that would never happen to me again. That's painful, dude. You wake up and the ES is up, 3 standard deviations on the long side. It's not fun.
But if you scale it right, though, you can kind of protect yourself.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to think there are people that have been scaling since 1600.
And they lost a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
By doing that, too.
Yeah, well, part of the stocks going down, I think it's attributed to what Charlie had mentioned a couple of minutes ago. I think the situation between Russia and the Ukraine is pretty serious. Do you think it's going to end up into a full-blown war?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
I don't either.
No, Russia's not that stupid, and there's enough people that are, they're not gonna.
And we won't do it without Europe's help. And Europe is they got their own problems right now.
People are tired of wars, man.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone through a decade of war.
Yeah.
People are tired of the warmongering and the imperialism. Right now, the central focus is on the economy and the stagnated economy, and the fact that you have a market that just keeps going up, but the fundamentals of the macro economy are so stagnant. And it's like people just don't know what to do, and there's this squeeze, there's this malaise with people, and it's like we're just stuck in this sideways, real economic environment. And we have this market where these equities just, if you guys notice, they're just rotating money. I mean, tech is starting to sell off. Like some of those tech stocks like Tesla and some of the other stocks starting to sell off, but that just rotates into somewhere else, and we just go higher, And I honestly, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. I don't know what's going to change that. There's going to have to be a catalyst that really brings out the bears. There's going to have to be a real catalyst for everybody to say, I want to sell stocks.
You got to have the black swan.
You have to.
Yeah. I would agree. Before anything really changes. I don't think the Crimea situation is going to change it. The other one thing that I threw out, you guys weren't on last week when Charlie and I were on, that I threw out to him was, it made me think back to the Too Big to Fail movie and the book, when there's the part where they talk about Russia approaching China because China owns so much U.S. debt, and I don't know how much Russia owns, but apparently it's a sizable amount. So my question was, if we threaten sanctions against Russia, economic sanctions, to try and strong-arm them for this, but they own enough debt, they've got leverage against the United States economically to counter that with whatever debt they hold, right?
Right.
So if they get pissed off because we're trying to strong-arm them with the sanctions, what if they turn around and dump all their debt on the market, like they had thought about doing back in 2008?
And I
think it would take something like that to spook the markets, because, I mean, a scenario like that is the only thing you can really conceive of. I don't even, what's funny, guys? I don't even think a terrorist attack would stop the bulls. I don't think a terrorist attack would make people sell stocks.
I don't think so either, because I think that we are on alert, and it's almost anticipated that at some point it may happen. And I think that that's almost built into the system at this point.
Yep, exactly.
Well, keep an eye on energy prices and commodities because.
Well, and I was, but they sold the hell out of crude oil.
Yeah.
Because that's what I pay close attention to, and crude oil just broke down.
Yep.
And that's some of the things that why they don't even want to do sanctions, especially over in Europe, because if they any sanctions that are put on them is also going to hurt the economies of some of the Europes, and they're not even interested in, because they're struggling, and they're just they're like a year or two behind us, and I think that's no one wants to even put any sanctions on them because it also hurts the people. Hurts everybody. Hurts the global economy as a whole.
Especially Germany. Germany didn't want to get involved because, like you said, with the oil.
Well, and look at the price of wheat.
Yep.
They're such a huge producer of wheat. We're not going to have any bread. Plus, barley and hops. Germany's not going to be able to make beer anymore.
Exactly, and the disruption due to this, standoff, is going to put pressure on supplies from the U.S., Canada, and I don't know, I think Australia as well. So, again, keep an eye on commodity prices, energies.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, as big as they are, I didn't realize that Russia was that big of an oil producer.
Oh, yeah.
I guess because you always hear about OPEC and the Arabian countries that are, Saudi Arabia and all the Middle East, it does the oil production. I didn't realize that much came out of Russia also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean,
it does.
That's a great argument for starting to convert some of these vehicles to natural gas, and sort of, it'll be good for everybody. It'll be good for the servicers and the drillers, and it'll be good for the consumer. We can get away from that dependency on foreign oil. We could convert a lot of our automobiles to nat gas.
Right.
I think that would be a lot better. And then the price of nat gas would be higher, and everybody would be happy. So.
Well, I'll tell you, you know what I think that the solution is, part of it. Texas needs to get Tommy Lee Jones back down there and put him on the commercials for the Barnett Shale.
Me and Roxanne were talking about the Barnett when Charlie was trying to get back up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They stopped talking and promoting that Barnett Shale here in Texas because of all the the controversy over the drilling that they do.
The fracking?
Yeah. The fracking, because of the controversy. They've kind of shut down a lot of the advertising that they're, promoting it.
Well,
I know. They passed legislation in California against that as well, against the fracking.
That field has pretty much dried up here. I mean, that's kind of, the area that I'm involved in. And, I mean, you can only drill so many holes in the ground. And then you got things like, we've had, like I said, what me and Roxanne were talking about, we've had some earthquakes. And a lot of that's been getting blamed on, companies like Chesapeake and XTO, Devon,
right,
Halliburton, Schlumberger, from them, one, drilling, holes miles and miles down in the ground, and then two, coming in afterwards and fracturing the ground and pretty much just disturbing things. And there's no way it's good. There's no way.
You know what I wonder about, Josh, and you probably have a much better background or knowledge on this than I do, but like the DFW airport area, there was where they were really talking about doing the natural gas drilling.
Check this out. You want me to give you an interesting statistic that I heard? It's Chesapeake that was drilling out there.
Right.
I heard from a bigwig at Chesapeake that DFW Airport makes more money from the natural gas drilling than they do as an airport.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
At all.
Well,
because of the royalties from the wells, and they don't have a lot of. And we did when they had rigs out there. I did all of the rigs that they had out there, and it's not a lot, but I mean they've got some some places in this area that, I mean, it dwarfs the amount of wells that DFW has. But I heard that. To me, that's just fascinating. You know, you wind up making more money in something to do with that you're not even a part of.
Right.
You know, just saying okay.
Right. Right. Exactly. It's not part of your business. It's not what you're in
Right.
business
Absolutely. It's just something that just came around.
for. Right. It fell into your lap. Oh, gee, we've got all these pockets of natural gas here under the ground that we realized.
Right.
Oh my gosh! So all these alternative fuel energy sources, like I'll give you an example: the fuel cell, the car that Hyundai has been promoting, which has excellent mileage and it's an SUV. It was showcased at the LA Auto Show. Isn't it fuel cell? Oh my goodness.
Hydrogen?
Yes, yes. Doesn't that involve fracking as well?
I don't know about that.
Hydrogen?
I believe so, yes.
Like the hydrogen fuel cell? I don't think so.
Yes, no? Okay.
No, like the fuel cell, I don't think so. That's a total different source than natural gas.
Mr. Logical in our chat room said hemp is the future energy and fiber.
I'll tell you what, that marijuana industry is booming in Colorado, okay?
It is. There and where else? Washington was the other. Is Washington, Colorado? Who else has legalized that? I think Illinois just did too, Charlie.
No way.
I think so.
Wow.
I think they did. Somebody told me they did.
It'll be everywhere in time.
Yeah, it will be.
It's going to be everywhere.
Man, you think Texas will go along with it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think eventually. I mean, they might be the very last one to do so, but I do think that they'll eventually wind up passing it here. All they got to do is figure out how to tax it and figure out how to get around that part of it, and they will.
Yeah, then the private prisons will go out of business.
The minute they figure out how to create a revenue stream out of it, somebody's going to pass a bill that's going to legalize it.
Yep. I think so.
Well, even they were talking about the amount of tax dollars the first month or two that it was legal in Colorado, that all that money is going to the schools too. It's just kind of funny. It's sort of like the lotto.
Yeah.
The biggest portion of that funding is going to schools, supposedly.
Well, and you look at like what somewhere like New York did with tobacco, cigarettes. What is it in New York City to get a pack of cigarettes? It's like $10, right?
Oh, and yeah, taxes assessed, absolutely.
And probably like $6 or $7 of that is taxes.
Yeah.
So if they can, they'll jack that up on marijuana, because you get a bigger kick out of marijuana than cigarettes. You'll pay $15 for the equivalent of a pack of cigarettes there, probably, or even more than that. But somebody will pay for it.
Depending on how good it is, man, I may pay $20. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, in Texas, the first place that it will pass, if it's locally, it's going to be Austin.
Yeah.
Like they'll have some sort of local referendum vote or something on it.
Somebody will be down there at South by Southwest with a booth.
Oh, really? What is it about Austin compared to Dallas or San Antonio or the other major cities?
Austin is weird.
Austin is like the hippie capital of Texas.
Yeah.
It's like
that's a great city though. Austin is a great.
It is a great city.
I think I'd love to live there.
But it's like the technology center of Texas.
It's like the Silicon Valley mixed together with the music, you know, and all the nerds.
Yes.
And then it's just an interesting place.
Yeah. And they're very big on like local small business. It's very. You know what's ironic? I was thinking about this. Most of your liberal tech clubs are also fiercely libertarian. Like, isn't that weird? Like, if you think about San Francisco, like it's really liberal, but it's also very libertarian. And so
Right.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Austin's kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Like Austin's really liberal, but there's like I think Austin, like a lot of those kids voted for Ron Paul. Like they're fiercely libertarian. It's kind of a weird mix.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that'll be interesting to see.
Well,
And there
there's
are, and you do have to think about the fact that there are not that I'm necessarily in favor of legalization, but there are other things that you can get from the hemp, like it's not just rolling joint or whatever, if you will. Right.
Are you a pothead?
Are you a pothead, Fokker?
Right.
No, not at all. You know what? I've never ever used marijuana ever. But
You're not
I'm
wearing
on the
that-
fence. I'm on the fence about the potential benefits of the plant itself, maybe, just because of the hemp rope thing and all that stuff. But
Listen, I can give you 420 reasons or uses for the plant. Okay.
Is one of them
All right.
is one of them easing you during your trading day?
I picked up on that, Darrin. I picked up on the joke.
Hey, listen. This is really one of the only things.
I don't know if anybody else did, but I got it.
Of course.
Well, I kind of agree with Jeff on being on the fence whether this marijuana has medicinal purposes or what have you, but there's so many medicinal marijuana clinics around LA, it's not even funny. I mean, in LA, as all of you know,
Are
it's
they medicinal or are they medicinal?
medicinal. But Los Angeles tends to be pretty liberal when it comes to those things. Personally, I don't condone it. I've never done it. But my philosophy is live and let live. You know, I chose to live in this city, and I have to adhere by rules and regulations.
Right. And I try not to, I'm not, whoever, do what you want to do. I might not agree with it, but I'm not going to be critical of it either necessarily. It's like trading. You know what? Your strategy might not be my strategy.
Right.
But if it works for you and mine works for me, you do your strategy, I do mine, and we're good. As long as you're not creating any kind of issue.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what, Jeff? But that's a really good point, and I talk to Josh about this all the time. There's just way too much in trading. There's way too much in the media. There's too much strategy bashing.
Right.
And I hate that, and that's a big pet peeve of mine.
Right.
Just because a guy trades differently than you does not mean that he's a bad trader,
Right.
that he's stupid, or that you know more than he is, because there's so many different ways to be able to extract money from the market, and
Right.
you have to pick one that is in alignment with your worldview, with your paradigm, with your identity.
Exactly.
I hate that. I hate that. That really annoys me. Like, why does it have to be trend following versus mean reversion or whatever? It doesn't have to be that.
Right.
You know?
I completely agree. It's kind of like, Charlie and I with Ford and Chevy. And even though Chevy's way far better than Ford,
Absolutely.
regardless of sales numbers, and I know that secretly Charlie knows that, right?
He
Except
just won't admit to it.
except my Ford stock is made some money and you're negative right now. Jeff and Darrin and Roxanne, for you guys that don't know, we both purchased 10 shares of, I purchased 10 shares of Ford and 10 shares of, Jeff purchased 10 shares of GM back on February 10th. And we're playing a little game essentially to see which company outperforms.
It's deals on wheels.
Yes, and I'm up $4 and $4.40, and Jeff is down $2.90. So right now, Ford is the better product.
I've got phone calls in right now.
Anyway, we're gonna hold our stock
change
to the
it.
end of the year, no matter where it goes,
Nice.
and see
Right.
It's just a bet between us. And then if the profits, if one of them has profits, we have to give the other guy the profits. Even if whoever wants. If we both were in the money, I'll get his money as well.
I'm betting Ford. I'm betting Ford will be ahead by the end of the year.
All right, Roxanne's not getting on the show anymore.
Yes, and if we're both losers, well, then we're just both losers.
No, but that was kind of back to what Darren's point was, that, Charlie's a Ford guy, I'm a Chevy guy, but, that doesn't, I'm not going to bash him for that. I will bash him, actually, but, in a playful manner. But like Darrin said about the trading strategies, you know what? You have your way. It's like politics. It's like a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you do things your way. I'll do things my way. And whatever. There's no point. It's stupid to hammer somebody because they have a different strategy than you or whatever. So.
Yeah, it's just pointless. And honestly, like, we all can learn from each other. I mean, there's a lot to learn. Like, I've learned so much from guys who build systems and trend, like Charlie. I've learned so much from Vic, just on trend following and momentum. That's really helped me out a lot. I mean, there's you can pull from some other strategies that are completely different. Because I've been thinking about this a lot because, like, I was thinking about constructing a portfolio that has some of all these elements in it. And I think that you could almost engineer sort of a target return if you're able to create the right allocations for all of these, if you had a mix of strategies, right?
Exactly.
And I think that that's what the smart money managers do, like the Ray Dalios or Bridgewater. That's what he's doing. He's just interplaying the different strategies and then creating an allocation based on the volatility of the different strategies. And I think that we all could do that. I think it's crazy to have, if you have a $500,000 account, to have 499,000 of it in just day trading ESs. I think that's crazy.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
There's room for there's room for a mix. And I think that's what people really, because, like, I don't think anybody talks to retail traders about approaching your portfolio as a complete holistic approach. It's always just one tactic, or I'm a trend follower, or I just sell options, or I just do that. And to me, that's a recipe for failure.
You don't diversify that way.
Exactly.
There's no, you can't.
Yeah, you're right. You're so much right about that, Darrin. I never traded the euro or the Aussie dollar until we started. Jeff and I did this show, and we were up at 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. starting back last October. And we watched the euro overnight, twice a week that we were on. And you see things that you're like, hey, why am I not taking advantage of this instead of just, trading the ES, which is what everybody talks about every day and everything on CNBC. And that is the part of diversifying, that in times where the ES is range bound, and that's what it's been like lately. You get a big move, it range bounds for 3 or 4 days, then it moves, and it range bounds, and while it's range bound, there's other products that are moving.
That are moving, exactly.
Right. In Europe, somebody in London's up over there trading at 3 o'clock in the morning here. There's some volume there in the London market or whatever, or you get that mix, different markets, different investment vehicles, and it's an interesting game, I think.
It's so much, and this is the thing, and I try to hammer this home and reiterate this as much as I can when I even talk to Josh. It's like, there can be easy money and there can be hard money. And the easier low-hanging fruit is going to come from, like, just to borrow a poker term, table selection, right?
Right.
And one of the things I had to learn, and Charlie, you nailed it. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, but all of us are so trained to run to the ES or the spiders or the SPX.
Yep.
And just from everything I've looked at quantitatively, especially with the ES, there's not a lot of opportunity there. When you have a product where the median swing over the past 4 or 5 years is 4 points, it's gonna be hard to make a living when on average it's only swinging 4 points.
Right. You can't even hardly scalp that.
You can't even hardly scalp that.
Which is why you love when you have these Russia things that come about.
Right.
I mean, unfortunately, you know, as traders, you want this volatility.
Right.
Yeah, but then you start looking at rubles, see what's going on with them.
But the whole time, you know, I used to beat myself over the head. I'm sitting here slugging it out for me in like the SPX. But you know, there's volatility, or there's movement, or there's implied volatility, and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's just your job is to be bionic enough just to go find it. You know, if you find where the action is and where it's busy, then all you have to do is just kind of sit there and position yourself. But so many people want to stop out and slug it out just in that ES, man. And I've seen it with Josh recently, where when he didn't even focus on the ES and just went to the YM, which is a noisier product that moves more, he got stellar results. Just from switching to something that chopped around and didn't move intraday to something that moved a lot more, and there's more opportunity. You know, in that same time period when the ES is moving 4 points, the YM may move 30, 40, 50 points.
But you know what, Darrin? It was like back in the day when you would buy the starter jacket, and somebody else would have the Chuck Taylor Converse or whatever, and it came down to who was cooler, and it was cool. You know, the ES is like who was cooler.
Right.
Look, I'm trading the ES. But that doesn't mean that your shoes or your jacket was better.
Exactly.
And you end up with a better quality shoes or something, but because it was cool to be wearing a starter jacket, you know, you're trading the ES instead of looking at the YM or something like that. And everybody else is wearing starter, and you decide you're going to go look at the YM, and that's actually the better deal.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not sexy to say that, right, amongst traders?
Right, exactly.
I trade the YMs, or I trade sugar, or I trade
right. I'm in wheat right now.
Right.
Well,
I got corn going on.
Even if you take ZB, the 30-year bond, that thing moves like slow during the day. It's like a slow moving product, but it can be a great product, but it doesn't have the pizzazz of like the ES, but there's some advantages to a slower moving, more of a trendier product.
Right, exactly. Yep, that's so true. And for me, I look at the Euro, like the 6E, as a lot like the ES, man. That thing can go rangy for weeks, and then it'll explode, then it'll go rangy again. And I just like, you know, when you try to catch it when it's in play. But like when I was looking at currencies, the thing that moved a lot was that 6A, and the yen moves.
Yeah.
The yen does move.
The yen moves.
It does move. Boy, it moves. But the yen's like getting on a roller coaster at times, too.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know,
good stuff.
And those are just concepts, man. And you know, something as basic as that is like that can really make the difference between scratching or losing money and having a big year or a big month or a big week. It's simple. Hey, well, you know, like I always tell Josh, like, hey, well, if you have a bullish outlook, man, maybe just on the side with a little bit of money, maybe get long the strongest stocks too while you're bullish. You know, position yourself for the outlier move.
Right. A little hedge factor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to read some things from the chat room, and it things like Ford has it over Chevy in the chat room too.
I saw that. I intentionally didn't bring that up.
Oh,
Randy's out there. We got a lot of good old friends out there. Mr. Logical, Randy, Noof's out there.
Yeah.
Kissing Bandits stuck around. We haven't chased her off yet, apparently. Trade free or die hard.
So we're looking at the chat room from the Day Trading Radio site.
Oh, right. Yeah.
What we're seeing if there's any if you guys have any questions in the chat room, you know, feel free to send us a message or ping me with a question to ask anybody.
Or you can ping me too. Hoover's asking about oil.
Oil.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, for trading purposes, how is CL good is the question.
Oh, that's a great question. That's pretty much all I trade all the time is the
Really?
CL.
Interesting. I'm afraid to trade it.
I love it. I love the CL. I like natural gas. The issue with nat gas options, the futures options, is that sometimes you can get some liquidity issues. But crude, I love crude oil, man. You just have to stay small though. You can't get big. And the other thing is, if you're going to trade the options, remember, and I don't know why they never standardized this stuff with CME, but the options operate off of $1,000 multiplier. So just remember that. I've heard of people having some real bad horror stories trading the CL options because they didn't realize that it didn't operate off a $100 multiplier like a regular equity option.
Oh, goodness.
So it's off an $1,000 multiplier. So just remember that. But in terms of leverage, in terms of range, level, I think crude is a great product. And I mean, it doesn't track perfectly, but if you just want to trade, if you want exposure, the ETF USO is pretty good. But I prefer the futures options. But I like crude oil a lot. I'm always in that.
Isn't there even a mini crude that you can trade?
There is. It's not really liquid enough.
No.
But you can't trade it though. For me, it's not liquid enough for me. But yeah.
If it's something that somebody's new though, is it anything that they can attempt to use it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can do that. I think if you want to trade it smaller, maybe just look at some option strategies where you don't get you don't get a 1-to-1 delta. Maybe you get a 40 delta or a 50 delta. I mean, there are other ways. It's tough to beat the leverage advantage that you get trading those options. And like I said, you stay small. Now on the pure futures contract, it is worth a try the mini. Just make sure it's liquid though. That's the only thing, is make sure that there's a decent amount of size on the bid and the offer. That's my only thing. Some of those mini contracts just aren't liquid enough.
Yeah, you run into big liquidity problems with the smaller ones.
But I mean, what's funny is a lot of brokers will not tell their retail customers this, but and this is something I've talked to people about, is using the futures and the futures options as sort of a quasi portfolio margin, as a workaround for that, because I at least know from the option side and talking to a lot of people, one of the biggest hindrances for smaller accounts, let's say sub 25,000, is that pattern day trade rule. Mm-hmm. And a good workaround is to use a span margin in the futures options. So what the span margin does is very similar to portfolio margin in the sense of they use a formula to where it's sort of a risk-based margin, and it's not sort of just stupid SEC regulation type margin. Right. So let's just say if you wanted to sell a put in the SPX in a regular account that's less than 150,000 in Thinkorswim, that would cost you $20,000. Now, if you sell that same put in the ES, you only have to put up 5,200.
Right.
And you don't have that pattern day trade rule either, and you get the 60/40 tax benefits. So it's just something that people need to be aware of, that you do have that option. And if you're not approved for futures, then you definitely should be. Like if you're with Thinkorswim or Interactive Brokers or Options Express or TradeStation, any of those firms, you definitely should be approved for it. And it's something to look into as a workaround. So.
And we'll give a shameless plug here. The Stock Jock and Roll trading broker is Stage 5 Trading.
Oh, Stage 5. I just don't know if they have options. I wasn't sure if that.
Yeah, I don't know if they do or not. Yeah, I don't know.
Charlie, what are the intraday margins for, like, let's say the index futures and the bonds at stage 5?
It depends on a few things, your account size that you put in with them. They'll even talk to you about your experience. You can with stage 5. You can see, like in ES, I've seen it as low as probably $900 to $1,000 for a contract. Okay. It's not like Infinity Futures where it's $500.
$500, yeah.
But they are very hesitant to go underneath $1,000.
Right.
Right. Oh, Charlie, I meant to ask you, have you had a chance to trade on this new app that they were talking about, the one that offers free?
Oh, the Robinhood broker?
Yes, thank you, that one.
No, I haven't got the invitation yet. The last time I checked, I was around 2,000. Let me go see people ahead of me. Let me go look and see. I have 2,140 people still ahead of me. So
but you're pretty close though. I haven't checked mine.
I think closer than Joshua. Yeah.
I'm way off.
I was at like 200,000 or something.
Oh,
I need to pull my. Yeah, I'm way the hell back there. I won't be trading free for about 5 years.
Yeah.
At this point.
I mean, I'll give it a try if they're gonna give me a free commission, and I'll swing a handful of stocks, during the week, and why not? If it's gonna be free, I'll sit here. If it's only on mobile, I have no problem doing it on my mobile device either. I'm comfortable with my mobile device. So if that's the only way, I think they have an online way of doing it too, but I don't know until I get in and play with it. I don't know. Have you guys heard anything about Robinhood?
I haven't. The only thing I ever seen about it was what you tweeted, and I looked into it and signed up. But I'm way back there, way back there.
Yeah, I looked into it. I don't know. It seems gimmicky to me. I don't know how you operate a quality brokerage and offer real services to people for free. I don't know.
See, that was my question too. How can you? Where are you making your money at? I'm just not sure about that.
Hidden fee somewhere.
Well, sure.
Well, once we get in to look at it, we'll kind of start to see. It's probably has ads all over the place or something in it.
Yeah, or you may have a limit on the trades that you can do daily, or
right, or the account minimum is 100,000 to get in that free commission.
Exactly.
It said account minimum was 0 to get in too. So who knows what, Hey,
Charlie, I meant to ask you too. With stage 5, are they planning on either selling or licensing out the trade analyzer? Because that's a really cool piece of technology. I know there's like Trader View, I think, but it would be cool if you could just use the trade analyzer.
Yeah, they should see if they could license that out, because I've actually switched to NinjaTrader, and but still using stage 5 as the broker, and Kinetic is the data supply. But I don't have the release the analyzer anymore, and I really miss that.
Hey, Charlie. Hey, I just came on the Robinhood site to try to see if I could see how far back I was, and they've got a video now. Have you watched this video?
The one that's on their website? Yeah, I have. Yeah.
The guy in the video, you recognize him?
Is it Kevin Costner?
No.
No, on the front page?
Yeah.
The guy that's sitting in the chair with the office lights that are low?
Yeah, you recognize him?
No.
That's the same guy from the Coin app. I wonder, I don't know, I'm kind of curious about that. Did he create this?
You mean from Coinbase? The Bitcoin?
No, from the card coin that can sync all of your cards in one.
No.
Not ringing a bell?
No, it's not.
The card, you can put like digitally, you can put like all of your credit cards or your debit cards into this one card called Coin, and you can switch between your different cards on this one card.
Okay. I'm not using it. Is it similar to what Google Wallet wants to become?
I I think it's no, I think it's a total different advantage. Look it up though. I mean, I just found that interesting. I don't know. I mean, that kind of makes me curious, like who this guy is. Maybe if he's behind both of those, because if so, he's very clever.
Well, the thing though that the money he's got behind this is from Google.
It's from This is from I know that this
That's
is back
what
from
makes
Google.
it somewhat intriguing is that there is money behind it, and it's got Google money behind the broker.
Which that means, I mean, they can do anything if Google's behind it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Look both those up, Charlie. Look up that it's called Coin. It's a card that you can put all of your if I could figure out a way to post it, I would.
It's something called onlycoin.com.
Let me find it.
Onlycoin.com is something that looks, yes, it's combining it. Onlycoin.com.
Use one coin for all your cards.
I have seen that, and I've actually
Okay, there you go.
I've actually seen that promoted in some like Facebook ads of mine.
Okay, well, this guy in this video, he's the same guy from the other video. I don't know. I found that curious.
Interesting, huh?
If you watch that video on this OnlyCoin website, you'll recognize him very quickly.
Okay, I will check that out.
If you look, there's also a Twitter account for it, Charlie. It's just at coin.com or at coin for Twitter. Are they? Okay, so wait a minute. Coin is public?
Is it a public trade? No, I think. Well, the last time
Yahoo Finance has got
they
a.
were still on Kickstarter or something.
Yeah, that could be. Coin is no longer valid as it has changed to FNJN. So what is that? Finjan Holdings?
Hey, Charlie, on a slightly different note, did you switch to Ninja Trader because you were going fully automated or for your front end? I mean, you should do a fully automated strategy or?
Both.
Both, yeah.
Yes, both is the intent.
Nice. Nice.
They're good. The back testing on them is, I haven't done really anything as far as back testing, but Charlie has. And those guys, I mean, their platform is really good.
Do you think the back testing is better than TradeStation? Because TradeStation is kind of known amongst programmers for like their
I don't know if it's better or not, but it's at least on par.
Okay.
To it.
Cool.
But I don't know if it's better.
Yeah,
Also,
I couldn't. For what little bit I've looked at Ninja Trader too, I couldn't, because I've never used TradeStation at all or looked at them, so I couldn't compare them. But I do know that Ninja Trader is pretty.
It's amazing how robust it is as far as when you are backtesting and it loading in the data. It's very, very robust, which is pretty amazing after you think about just trying to load toss on your screen sometimes.
Oh God. Oh man.
Toss it. Are you kidding me? Toss is like trying to drag a rock up a freaking hill, isn't it?
Whenever you can never open it without having to do an update.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't think I've never closed Toss and opened it without it saying there's an update for it.
Yeah.
Proceed with update.
At least over a weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are parts about it that I like, but that thing is incredibly resource intensive.
Oh man.
I will be always probably still tied to Toss. There are things that I try to mimic in Ninja Trader from some things, and I can't get even some things exactly the same. When I'm moving and building charts in Ninja Trader, it's very interesting.
Ninja Trader code though is essentially C# code, or is it C# or C++?
C++.
Yeah, Yeah, that's what it was. Because when I talked to those guys, yeah, that's what Lance told me. So
There's a question in the chat room. So they're saying, are we saying toss is good to learn or don't even bother with it? And
that's a tough call, and it depends on how you're trading, what you're wanting to do.
Right. That's the perfect way to put it. If you want to trade options, then you need to be on. Especially if you're just starting out, then you need to be on toss. In my opinion, you can get a reasonably fair commission rate, and toss is so sort of Mickey Mouse that they make everything is kind of in big colors, flashing lights right there for you.
Oh yeah, the toss is like the Las Vegas of trading platforms.
Yeah, it definitely is.
You're like walking down the strip if you're going to use toss to trade. It'll definitely point itself out to you.
the person asked that question's on TradeStation, so I continue to stay on TradeStation if you're already on it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah. Just make sure you get that wire, Josh.
What?
I said make sure you request that wire.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Josh, you're a little board back there that's got the chart patterns on it. Is that just a whiteboard?
Man, I made that like forever ago, and I just kind of thought it was cool, so I just left it up hanging almost like a piece of art. But just like something that you would paint on, like a painting.
Oh, it's like a like it's framed
your
almost.
Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Is it framed
Well,
with a little wood around it?
It's not framed. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a wooden frame on the inside. Yeah.
So is it canvas?
It's like a pulled canvas. Yeah.
Wow, that is cool. You know what? You gotta consider making more and selling those.
Maybe like you never know, like a novelty item.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna when we get done with the show, Josh, you're gonna have to go cut your ear off now.
Cut my ear off.
Yeah. Roxanne knows what I'm talking about, don't you? Don't
So
maybe.
yourself? No, I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Insanity.
No, Van Gogh.
Well,
Oh,
that's what I was saying. I mean, didn't he go with like insane?
He might have, but he got his ear cut off.
Yeah, you did get his ear cut off. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, I think he went insane.
He might have.
I might already be insane. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy doing stuff like that. I've got a couple of paintings. Most of the stuff on my wall are things that I've made. That's just something I made a long time ago. I used it as motivation. I just kind of left it up.
Yeah, and
It's cool. I like it.
yeah,
What
Josh.
you got there, Darrin? I like yours too.
Oh no, that's just it's a blanket I found on art.com because in my office I slide back like this because I got two monitors right here.
So it's not really decoration; it's wall protection,
It's both.
basically.
Yeah, it's functional and it's art.
All right, I got you. Hey, that's good though. That's efficiency, dual purpose,
Yeah, exactly. man.
multifunctional. All right, I'm with you.
Hey, I got a question for you guys, and I'm wondering. So, what do you guys think is the number one, the biggest reason that retail traders struggle in trading? Like, what do you guys think is the biggest reason? And okay, so we know, and if you know the reason, what solution would you offer to fix that?
I think the biggest reason is they trade too big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree. Yes, I would agree with that.
Position
And-
size and discipline.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with starting out with 100, 200 shares of a stock, and keeping your, size relatively small to learn to get through the first 2 to 3 years of it. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is the the size that's trading that they blow out accounts before they can learn what needs to be learned.
And I think they need to also specialize in one particular area because it's very difficult to master futures, currencies, bonds, the whole 9 yards. They want to jump in and try and do everything, and I think it's better if you just specialize in one particular area.
Yes, I think you just nailed it, Roxanne. I would say the same thing. As still being in a pretty much of a learning stage, you can't try to do too much. You can't try and learn too much. You have to, it goes back to the old adage of how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
Right.
And you can't try and do everything all at once. You gotta do it piecemeal.
Exactly.
Figure something out, and and that's what I started to do because I was bad about that whenever I first started. And I've gotten to the point where, you know what, I've started to focus on a couple of indicators because I've done analysis for years. So I know how to analyze stuff and look at numbers, but this is a whole different animal. And there's still analysis that goes on with it, but you can't try and be jack of all trades, master of none.
Right.
You have to figure out a few things, and okay, so maybe they don't work. You have to be patient enough to figure out whether something's going to work for you, and if it doesn't, well, all right, maybe you find a different indicator or oscillator or something, and you got to move around. You got to be patient with it, basically.
Exactly. And
you're not gonna. I think too many people come into something like this and they think that they're going to trade for a week and suddenly they're going to become Warren Buffett.
But you know what though, and I think you're absolutely right that people. So the interesting thing is you'll find people who in their personal life are doctors, or engineers, or lawyers, and they come to trading and lose massive amounts of money.
Right.
But it's because part of it is their fault. Another part of it is I hear an awful lot of pundits, whether it's on the net, on blogs, on TV, sort of perpetuate this idea that trading isn't a skill. And I think that so it's no wonder that people come to the business and think that there's no difference between me and George Soros, or there's no difference between me and Paul Tudor Jones, or you name it. And the fact of the matter is that, yeah, on the next 2-3 trades, yeah, you may win and he may lose, but over the long run, he's going to separate you from your money. And it's because he acquired the skill of trading. And I just think that a lot of people, going back to what Charlie was saying, if you're trading so big that you don't even get the number of occurrences to see if it works or not,
right,
then you'll never, position size is probably a huge part of it. But for example, a lot of people, just something simple, it's a lot of stuff. Like, I've talked to people who don't even know the notional value of the ES. They don't know that, oh, wow, this is a 75, 80,000.
One contract worth.
One contract.
Right.
Well,
and they look at that and they say, you know what, this is a cheaper way for me to trade, but I really don't know what the hell I'm trading.
Right.
Not necessarily. Yeah. But I just know that it's cheaper. They don't know the amount of leverage there. You can win big, and you can just as easily lose big too.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why for beginners, people that are starting out trading, I don't recommend they go into options and open margin accounts because.
Oh, good God, no.
Exactly.
Don't ever.
It's riskier.
Do not ever start out trading in options. I had an options class, and I know Darrin knows a lot about options.
Darrin might refute all of you guys.
I would like one of these days I want to pick his brain about that. But I had a class in college on options, and oh, good Lord, yes, I know.
It's scary. It's scary for them because they can lose a whole lot of money. Now, if we're talking lawyers, doctors, accountants, those people have a career. They have a job. So if they lose a couple of $1,000s, no big deal because they have a primary source of income coming. But
the problem is they're losing more than a couple. I'm telling you, Roxanne, you would be amazed at the amounts of money that I've seen people lose in the options. And I'm talking about doctors, engineers, successful business. I mean,
and it happens like that too.
Yeah, I mean,
in 2 days,
I'm thinking
you're like taking out a second mortgage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of one guy who lost like over 300 grand in a course of like 6-7 months.
How much? 300,000?
Oh yeah, that's
$600,000 account.
Oh.
And I only know because his son reached out to me, and we've been working with him to get him at least in the right mindset. But this goes back to, but he was watching programming and reading content that was telling him that this is not a skill, that anybody can do this. Anybody can press buttons and do, you know, you don't have to, like something as simple as, you know, you don't know the, like for example, he's long, you know, when gold was going down, he's long 7, 8, 9, 10 contracts of the gold future. I'm like, dude, do you know how much gold you're controlling? It is. But you guys laugh, but I'm telling you, this is way more common. And you know, the thing that kind of annoys me is that I think that this caricature by the quote-unquote professionals in the industry of the small guy with the $5,000 account blowing out. But really, in all honesty, a lot of the blowouts happen on the higher end, at least from my experience. Mm-hmm. Like they happen with the people with the big egos who have money to throw around, and they don't respect the craft at all. You know. So when I talked to this guy, I said, "Well, man, why are you even long ago? What's your reason for doing it?" Well, it's all random anyway, and if I just wait till I'm right, eventually I'm gonna be right. And I'm like, who told? Like, where did you get this? Like, where did you get this bad logic from?
And for one, and when you're trying to, that mind frame doesn't fit that vehicle.
Right. Exactly.
You know, that's something else. Like that. That's not. Go to GLD.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And sell calls against it or whatever. You know, but you're in the wrong vehicle to even have that mind frame.
Yeah.
But the problem is that that's treating it like gambling, essentially.
Right. Well, here's the thing, Jeff. If you've been told that it's all random and there's no difference between you and Jesse Livermore, then you're going to go in and you're going to say, hey, it doesn't matter where I enter. Trade location doesn't matter. I don't believe in stops. I have all this money. I'm just going to wait until I'm right.
Right.
Well, I mean, if your trading strategy is just based on a function of time, if that's your whole strategy is based around that, that's fine. I mean, that goes back to what we were talking about before. There's plenty of ways to make money in this market. You know, there's enough. I think any what view that you have, you can figure out a way to profit from the market. But that's not the way to do it.
Right.
You don't get in something that heavy and something that expires every 3 months, or that you have to roll over at a loss. You know.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
But that's fine though. If they want to trade like that, let me sit down for about a day, and then I'll trade calls and puts with you.
We have
some game. You want to gamble?
We have a guy in our chat room.
I'll take your check.
There's a guy in our chat room. His name is Gas, and he's been with the in the chat room for years, and he's a good trader. Let me give you his first 3 things, which are all very similar. His number 1 thing was too little capital, which is essentially the same as, you know, you could be trading too large of a position. Number 2 can't admit that you're wrong, and number 3, you expect to win every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all of those kind of are rephrases of things that we've been going over, but absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know, to piggyback on that, and this kind of is a pet peeve of mine, is that the options the people that sell options education or options edutainment, whatever you want to call it, they prey into that loss aversion bias. And what happens is people who couldn't stop out in a futures contract try to sell out of the money options to avoid ever losing, right? So I'm going to win, you know, 10 months out of 12, and then the 2 months that I lose are bigger than everything I made all year, right? But I don't care about that because it feeds into this need I have to always be right, you know. Right. And that's one of the things, like you know, you have to tell people that, hey, even if you come to the options market, you're gonna lose. You're not like, don't run to the options market because you're afraid to lose. You're gonna lose money. Like, it's gonna happen. So just accept that and move on. But that's one of the hardest things for people to wrap their mind around is this lumpiness. The idea of, you know, your equity curve is not going to be just a straight line up. There's going to be squiggly lines and ups and downs and retracements. The key is you just don't want your losers to be bigger than your winners.
Exactly. And I think knowledge is power, and they should read as much as possible about trading and investing, you know, and also try virtual trading. They should start off virtually trading stock and then moving on to doing the real thing.
Right.
Or just get in Warren Buffett's, you know, March Madness tournament and pick every winner for the NCAA and get $1 billion.
$1 billion if you get a perfect bracket.
Did you guys see that? Well, I don't know if anybody saw it, but I showed it to Josh. I'm kind of disappointed in Buffett, man. Because Russell Rhodes at the SIBO broke down his annual letters, and it's kind of disappointing. Like, everything he says, he does the opposite of what he tells people to do, and it was kind of disappointing to see, like, basically all Buffett does is sell out of the money puts. That's all he does. That's how he's made his whole career. But he tells people that derivatives are weapons of mass destruction and to buy and hold. And he doesn't do, that's not how he makes his money.
No, he doesn't. You're right. If you do some research on Berkshire Hathaway, yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, I got a question. Speaking of Buffett, so what I had somebody ask this question to me the other day that I was talking to. So, what happens if you get into the bracket? You've got the perfect bracket, right? Right. Everybody wins. You're down to the championship game, and Buffett offers to buy you out for $5 million.
You take the buyout.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think so too.
That's exactly what I said too.
Although, wait a minute, $5 million?
5 million
$5
versus
million?
1 billion? No.
$5 million, I might.
Yeah, you do. That's
$5
like
million,
the
I
person
might
that
let it go.
doesn't
You
think the
need to be
lottery is good
double-
enough to buy a ticket
Double
for
digits,
$5 million.
10 million, maybe 20 million.
But
There's no way. If I've got a guaranteed $5 million versus one basketball game that's going to ride on that $1 billion.
But where's the buyout? Is it at the Final Four or the final
I'm talking
two?
about the final game.
Yeah.
Final game.
Last game, you're perfect all the way up till the absolute championship game.
For $5 million?
And Warren calls you up and says, I'll give you $5 million if you back out. Do you ride it for the $1 billion or do you take the $5 million? You got to take the buyout, right?
You lock in that profit. That's what you do.
Right, exactly. That's what I said too.
I don't know. It depends who's playing that game.
I mean,
I'm probably locking the profit too. Yeah.
But I mean, from a game theory probability standpoint, Charlie's probably right. But like, I'm kind of in the real world, and $5 million could do a whole lot for a lot of the hedonistic fetishes I have. So, like, I think I'll take my $5 million.
Grab the money and run, right?
Yeah, I'm taking the $5 million. It would be so enticing to go for the $1 billion payout just for the, but.
I would try to negotiate them higher.
But what if the odds on that final game are, 75-80% in your favor? Like, strategy would have you press it.
Right. I agree.
The thing is that it's all or nothing, though. That's the thing.
Right.
It's not like, well, if you're wrong, you still walk away with, $1 million or $2 million. If you let it go and then you're wrong, which mathematically you're probably going to be wrong, you're not taking anything home.
And,
you got that in, and you also, especially with people like in our background, you realize what you can do with $5 million.
Right.
$5 million of guaranteed money. What can you turn $5 million into in 5 or 10 years? Right.
And then you pass up on it, and you get Jim Valvano running all over the court while you're ready to go drive your car into a river at that point because you get an NC State who ends up with the upset in the final game, and you passed up $5 million thinking that you might wind up with $1 billion. I'll take it. That's like the lottery. That's I never understand the people that start playing the lottery whenever the pot gets up to 100 million. Like 10 million isn't good enough for them to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Right. But when it gets up to 100 million, now I'll spend a couple bucks for it. Right? Okay. All right.
Now, don't you have better odds winning the lottery than winning this bracket from what I have read?
Yeah.
The odds of winning this bracket are probably, I mean, I'll probably fly to the moon before somebody will win this bracket. And we're shutting down NASA, so that's going to be an even bigger challenge.
Yeah, I think
for me to get to the moon. So, no, yeah, I would agree. I
figure Warren Buffett is not gonna, so easily give out $1 billion.
But who else is? It's Quicken, right? That's partnering with him.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a good segue, though. We do have a major announcement for the Stock Jock and Roll. We're actually going to host the Final Four game here in my backyard in Arlington. They're coming to see Stock Jock and Roll, so the Final Four is going to be in our backyard, Arlington, Texas.
Yeah, it's going to be
Nice.
Cowboy Stadium.
Oh, the Texas Cowboy Stadium?
Yep.
I'm not even watching. I'm so freaking pissed SMU got snubbed. I'm furious, man.
I'm pissed that Dallas released DeMarcus Ware.
Oh, man. Yeah, and then Baltimore picks up Steve Smith.
Yeah, well, we'll be on the air live for the Final Four, Jeff, so, that's going to be a hard show.
Stock Jock and 4.
Yeah. Well, hey, guys, it's almost 10:30, so I appreciate y'all coming on tonight, just chatting away. It was a lot of fun again. It's amazing what you could learn just talking.
It is. It's always fun. You guys are awesomeness.
And,
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah, I love doing this with you guys. I'll do it whenever you guys will have me. It's fun.
Darrin, I got to tell you, you and Josh, I wish I was still down there in Dallas. I would come down. I would be out there running with you guys all the time.
Yeah, I just got through right before we went on.
All right, well, go ahead and rub a little salt in the wound then. It's fine. It's all good.
Yeah, and Josh and Darrin, I'll see you guys in a couple weeks at a Mavs game, 27th.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
I saw the little one on the screen earlier too, Josh.
Oh,
The new family edition. Very nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very nice. That's awesome. And Roxanne?
Yes.
Great to see you and talk to you again.
Thank you so much, and likewise. And I look forward to the next one.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I think Charlie would agree with me. All you guys are anytime.
Hey, copper's getting a bounce tonight. It's up 1% already. It's making a comeback. It's getting a bounce.
Uh-oh. Breaking news. We've got
to get up here.
What was
Where's
that?
ES?
I'm along the ES and the 6A, so we'll see. I'll check on it in the morning when I wake up.
So copper's up, ES is up, and gold is down.
Well, I am just getting ready to make a new high from today, even. Let's see. The high is at 16,207. It's on its way.
Let me see. What's this chart set? What chart setup do I have? Okay, that was. All right. ES does look to be a little.
So
bit.
Asia's got to be green.
The ES is following the Ichimoku cloud pretty closely. I would go the long spot was probably about, what time is it? 10:28. Long spot was probably about 30 minutes ago. But I think you can still go along with the ES. See, I think I agree with Josh. I think we're gonna head towards 1900.
I think we make. I mean, I'm long the ES and the 6A. I think we're gonna make new highs in the ES.
I think so too.
I mean, I do think that this party comes to an end eventually. I just don't think it's right here, right now.
Right? Yeah. See, I agree with you completely.
And I could be wrong. I could be wrong, you know. And if I do, I'll lose some money and I'll go the other way. But as of right now,
I think you're right on that. I think depends on what your trading strategy is, I guess, for anybody that's out there. But I do think that I think we see 1900.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not, you know, this is one thing people really should take away. There's nothing wrong with being long and stopping out on an unexpected down move. Hopefully, you will
Right.
make so much money buying dips that one loss, if your risk management is decent, one stop loss won't wipe away all the gains you made for however long you've been buying dips.
Right.
yeah.
Well, and that's where your trading strategy comes in. If you diversify the right way,
Right.
and plan your strategy the right way, then all right, you maybe get hit here or there, but try to turn it into at least a zero-sum game, or where you're either going up or you hedge your risk and mitigate it. And,
Right.
so.
Yep.
All right, guys.
All right. Cool.
See you guys later.
We'll have you on again. We love
Good
having
night,
you.
everybody.
All right.
Night, everybody.
Good
Thanks,
night,
Charlie.
Absolutely. Darrin, Josh, thanks for coming on. Roxanne, thanks for coming on.
Welcome. Bye-bye.
Just, y'all let me know the next time you want me back.
Anytime.
What are you doing tomorrow night? We don't even have a show tomorrow night, but we'll still put you on, Josh.
Hey, figure out something.
I will play a little Irish
Book or something.
music here and take a bathroom break.
I think that's a good idea.
Get something to drink. Man, my voice
All right, we'll see you guys later.
All right,
Take care, Josh. I guess Darrin and Roxanne are gone already.
Yeah. So we'll take a break here, Jeff, and then we'll come back and wrap up the last 30 minutes of the show.
Do
And we are back with you, Stock Jock and Roll. ES here trading 1854 on the June contract. And a nice little trend at the moment. Had a nice little breakout here. And
I did. I don't know if anybody out there follows the Ichimoku cloud. I really like that as an indicator, and it seems to follow it fairly closely, at least trend wise.
Is it above the cloud now from this move up?
It is. It is. It's actually quite a bit above the cloud. It looks like it's going into a little bit of a consolidation pattern, though. Now, it looks like if you look at the candlestick patterns, yeah, looks like we've got some consolidation here. I'm on a 1 minute chart.
Well, I struggled for years trying to get a runner to actually run, and dealt with trailing stops and different things. But my best advice or indicator to help trail a stop is the ATR trailing stop. So if you're having any trouble with any runners, take a look at the ATR trailing stop, and see if that helps out for your runners and not getting you stopped out of something that you're trying to let run for a long time in a trend. I can probably show you an example of that if I go back just to the ES today. Let's go back just to look at a simple 5-minute chart. And
see here's what I see. I see us with a potential somewhat of a head and shoulders coming up here with the ES. Potentially.
So let me see here. Get back to 8:30 this morning.
I'm on the 1-minute chart though, so it's not really an official head and shoulders. I don't think it's going to get that far back down again, but I would.
Yeah, it's hard to see. Let me go switch to YM because that's what I trade. So YM 0306.
I've got the YM up though too, but I'm on the. All right, let me switch my YM to a 1-minute chart. The YM doesn't look bad.
Okay, so here's just a YM 3-minute chart from this morning during the opening drive, and this is the ATR trailing stop for it. If you would have got in on this opening drive, scaled out a few, and try to keep a runner, I always struggle with, well, where do I, get out with that runner? And for example, this is a 3-minute, and on this ATR, as soon as you get a break of that ATR, this is a good place to let that runner go. And many times when I had a runner, it seemed to always want to come back to stop me out at basically break even. I never could get anything on it for some reason. I would always hold it. I'd hold it down here thinking it'd run again. But on the time frame, the ATR trailing stop is a really good indicator to try to hold some runners for a longer period run. All right, back to the ES. That was a lot of fun with those for those guys.
It was. It's always good to have Josh and Darrin and Roxanne on.
Yes, and we didn't get. I was hoping to maybe get some time that we could take some people in the chat room that maybe wanted to come on with us and do a little, talking about life, markets, and whatever is popular. So maybe next Monday, that's what we'll do. We'll start out with anybody in the chat room that wants to come in and discuss whatever is currently at the topic by next Monday. No telling. Maybe we'll have a Malaysian airliner find by next week. And maybe we're not even talking about it by next week because it's still lost. But whatever is current topics, we love just get on, talk current topics, and try to relate them to anything trading. So anybody in the chat room tonight, Mountain Bear, Hoover, Kissing Bandit, Gas, any of you all, Orlando, Mr. Logical, Noof, anybody wants to come on next Monday night and do also a, we'll call it a day trading, our DTRS roundtable of sorts for next week.
I think now this was your chart, Charlie, the one that I'm looking at with the Ichimoku cloud on it.
Is it the 5-minute?
Well, I switched it to a 1-minute.
Oh, okay.
But it's the ES with the Ichimoku cloud, and yeah, Yeah, that's what's on it.
Now, on a 1 minute, that had a nice little breakout above the cloud at about, like you said, about 30, 40 minutes ago, and rode nicely all the way up to cloud. Never failed. Probably looks pretty good on a 5 minute, too.
And it's starting to come back down a little bit.
So let's see, we got some things going on in the next few days in the markets. Let's make sure everybody is kind of aware what's going on. We've got Fed meeting this week. And let's see, so tomorrow, Tuesday, interesting things. Maybe it's the opening before the bell. Hertz Global, kind of maybe interesting after the bell. We got reporting Oracle and Adobe. So those Oracle and Adobe may be interesting plays tomorrow to watch. And economic, we got consumer price index and housing starts tomorrow. And it looks like we've got FedEx with an earnings announcement before the bell on Wednesday. General Mills and KB Home. And the FMOC meeting on Wednesday. And I think we have, I think it's triple witching on Friday too as well. It's the third Friday.
Yeah, I think so.
March coming up. So I did look at my Trader's Almanac for triple witching, see what it indicated. So March triple witching currently over the last 12 years has been very mixed. Of the last 5, the Dow has been down 4 of the last 5. So there's your statistical edge for Friday. There's also some weekly job claims and existing home sales on Thursday out there. So a little bit of news in the markets this week.
We've got housing starts too tomorrow.
Yes. And as big as sports fans as we are, Jeff, we missed a big move on a stock that we could probably relate to. And you'll never guess what it was.
Sports service.
I could do like Warren Buffett and give you 10 guesses, and if you got it, I would give you $1 trillion.
All right, I'm trying to think what this might be. If it's not sports service, sporting related stocks.
It is
So is this related to sports equipment, Rawlings? You're not talking Rawlings, are you?
Nope, I'm not talking Rawlings, but the stock has been up 35% this month. Does anybody in the chat room know anything of what I'm talking about?
Let me think a minute. What the hell would that be?
I'll give you a little bit of a tip. Some would say it's not a sport.
The PGA put out an IPO?
No, it's not that one. I'll give you one more guess. A sporting event. Okay, maybe I'll pin it down for you. It's a sporting event that was very popular back in the 70s and 80s in St. Louis.
Bowling.
That's actually a pretty good guess because it was, and the Bowling Hall of Fame was in St. Louis at the time. Nope, but
it was, and then they moved it to Arlington.
Of course, they follow StockJocknRoll. They all come to my headquarters.
You know what, Charlie? That's what we need. There's our fundraiser. Stock Jock and Bowl.
Stock Jock and Bowl. Oh, you got it. That's it. Stock Jock and Bowl. Good one. All right, now you get one more guess because I think you're onto it when I talk about being popular in St. Louis in the 70s and 80s?
Soccer.
No. All right, I'm gonna have to give it up.
All right, you gotta give me at least give me another small clue.
All right, I'll give you the ticker symbol, WWE. Does that relate anything to you on the sports realm?
Oh no! Live from where was that? Chase Park Plaza or the Keel? Was that from the Keel? Where they did the Saturday wrestling or Sunday morning wrestling?
Yes, you've got it. WWF Wrestling, the stock.
That's a public company?
Has been absolutely massive, on fire, and it's up 35% this month. Absolutely crazy, and a very tradable stock as well.
I had no idea they'd even gone public.
It's a liquid stock, over 1 million shares a day.
Are you kidding me?
It's absolutely crazy. I know. You should be very familiar with this one. I'm going to put it on the screen now. It is the World Wrestling stock, WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment Media. Yes.
So what is that? Vince McMahon's not still in that, is he?
He is the CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment. I told you you'd be shocked that there's a stock on the WWE. And
oh, good Lord.
It broke out really back in right before Christmas. It was trading around $12 a share. It's trading twice that now. $30.37 is the close today.
No way. Are you kidding me?
And up 35% in the month of March. Amazing. I had to share that with you when I, because I didn't realize it was. I knew WWE, and I've heard people talk about the stock, but did not even realize it myself that it was actually the World Wrestling Entertainment, and the CEO is Vince McMahon.
He's still out there.
He is.
You gotta be kidding me.
Apparently, one of the reasons that the stock is up is because of some potential buyout rumors or something with the World Wrestling Federation. That's one of the reasons it's up.
Who's gonna buy them out?
I don't know.
The XFL. Oh wait, they own the XFL that lasted for like 6 weeks.
I don't know if it was something like Comcast or some entertainment type of stock. Maybe wanted to buy it, and maybe they want to maybe air it on a certain station or something. I really don't know, but it's one of the reasons it's apparently been up. Has been under some buyout rumors. But yeah,
that's unbelievable.
The WWE stock. We may have to really be following this stock now. That along with Rick's Cabaret. Those are the two. We're gonna have to come up with a stock jock and roll portfolio.
How did you find the WWE out? I didn't even know they were a public company.
It came up on a scan that I did, and I looked at that. I said, "Wait a minute, does that say World Wrestling Entertainment?" And it did.
Oh, good Lord! There's got to be some other ones. Yeah. The Muppets have to have a public company out there then, if WWE does.
When has that Muppet movie come up? Man, they've been advertising it. It's got to be any time now.
It's like the 21st of March.
Oh, so it is really close. Okay.
Yes. And let me tell you, I don't know where Mosca's at. Mosca, I'm sorry. I don't think he's out there in the chat room. But I'm going to tell you right now, I am going to be there the first day to see the new Muppet movie.
Oh, well, it's going to have to be a topic of discussion on the Monday after it opens.
Oh, yeah.
We both have to go see it opening weekend.
Yes. I agree with that.
I'm reading some things here about Courtney Love didn't actually find the missing plane. What are they talking about? Oil plane. Oh, apparently Courtney Love tweeted today, I'm no expert, but up close, this does look like a plane and an oil slick. And it was on one of those websites that you talked about, like Reddit or whatever, with the satellites.
Right.
And
I think what she probably found was Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
I'm sure after he got done over there in Crimea, he probably went and took a swim in the ocean to try and find the plane.
Well, I'm whooped. I'm done for tonight, and our show is just about ready to be wrapped up here.
Right. And unlike the Malaysia Air flight, what is it, 330?
350? 370.
350. 370.
370, I think.
Anyway, you won't have to send out a search party for the Stock Jock and Roll show, because we will be back again next Monday, live and in drive,
with a DTRS roundtable. Who will be brave enough to come on and just chat with us?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And Charlie and I may find the missing plane between now and next Monday. So you never know.
You never know. Yes.
And what else might we have next Monday? Obviously, we will have more markets.
I thought you said more Muppets.
Well, we'll have more Muppets.
We may have to give a Muppet preview for the movie when it comes out.
That might not be a bad idea. We will have the charts. We didn't, one thing we didn't do tonight that we'll do next weekend, next Monday, some Ninja Trader.
Yes, we'll have to block the last hour to do a market replay.
Yes. Awesome trading platform that we briefly spoke about before. So
it's the platform that's on here right now that's drawing this magnificent trend line. I'm not having to draw it. The chart is drawing it. How fabulous is that? Try having your toss chart automatically draw that trend line. Not so easy.
Right, and try having your toss chart let you move the weights of your lines. I still didn't figure that out. I couldn't get those lines are too thick for me. Don't like that.
Yeah, what was it? The width of one was too thick. You need like 0.05 for what you were wanting.
Yeah, basically, and I was trying to find code to do that. Looked all over the place. Couldn't do it. Couldn't find it anywhere. So, and Noof wants to know what third-party use with Ninja we use as our data service, Kinetic. Those guys are awesome.
Well, I have a closing song for tonight. And it is St. Paddy's Day. And it's the end of the night. And if you're truly enjoying St. Paddy's Day, then right now the track Drunken Sailor should apply.
Awesome.
It's the artist, the Irish Rovers, and Drunken Sailor. That will be our closing song tonight.
Well, and we want to thank everybody that hangs out with us here. We have a good time doing this. and you guys are all great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's all about learning, sharing ideas, and also, you know, the people that were on tonight. Let me just tell you again once who they are. You can always follow them on Twitter. You can always ask them questions. Josh, he goes by Blue Horseshoe on Twitter. That's BLUSORSHOE. I will post his Twitter feed in the room. Darrin, let me pull his up. Darrin, if you're in the options, this is your option guy right here. You can follow him on Twitter. And Roxanne from good old California.
Yeah, they are all great.
There's
always
Roxanne's Twitter ID. Of course, you can always follow me at Prolong Wealth, and you can follow Jeff at JKSTL21.
Yeah, you guys are great. Thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for Josh and Darrin and Roxanne. It's always fun when we get them on.
It is. So next week, the challenge is Noof, Gas, Orlandi, Hoover, Kissing Bandit, whoever was on tonight, Waterman, y'all, somebody's got to come on the show.
That's right. Get on. Well, Google Hangout with us.
Mountain Bear. So, y'all have a good rest of the trading week, and we'll be back with you next Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
That's right. And I'll try to get back here on time.
Well, it might help if I didn't have to reboot my computer after we realize where the problem lies.
Right.
So, all right, Jeff, everybody, have yourself a good night. We'll see you back here next week.
Absolutely. Amen. Mountain Bear, you have a good night, buddy. Gas, Hoover, all y'all have a great rest of the evening.
Good night, everybody.
What the heck was that?
Nice work, people. Well done. Very solid work.
Another day, another opportunity to impress everyone.
Well, guys, I think we've all learned a valuable lesson here today.
And another adventure draws to a close.
When I say good, you say bye. Good?
Welcome home. You're listening to the best non-professional advice show on the planet. On your home for overnight low-back session. This is the Stock Jock and Roll Show on daytradingradio.com.
This is your wake-up call, pal. Go to work.